Divine revelation, you are heavenly chosen. Prophetic message confirmed just for you today, in the heart of a quaint English village, where rolling hills kissed the horizon and the sweet scent of blooming wildflowers danced in the air, stood a chapel that glistened with hope, the sacred space where miracles whispered and prayers took flight. Sarah, a devoted mother, often found herself there, her heart brimming with petitions to the heavens for her young son Jacob, who lay frail and pale with a relentless illness. Every Sunday morning, as the sun poured golden light through the stained glass, illuminating the faces of the faithful, she clung to her belief that something marvelous was about to unfold. On an unusually crisp Sunday, a hush settled over the congregation as the pastor raised his voice, reverberating through the wooden beams of the chapel. Divine revelation. He proclaimed, "You are heavenly chosen." The words held a weight, electrifying the air around Sarah. She could feel her heart pounding wildly as if it sensed the presence of something far greater than ordinary life. Tears filled her eyes as she clutched Jacob's tiny hand, feeling the gravity of their struggles. "Someone here is chosen for miraculous healing," he announced, his voice booming like thunder. In that moment, everything froze, the world outside faded away, and it was just Sarah, clinging to hope and a flicker of belief amidst her despair. She closed her eyes tight, summoning every ounce of faith she had left, and whispered a pact, promising to trust whatever divine plan awaited them. As the days stretched on, her faith endured like a candle in the night. Each visit to the hospital felt heavier, with solemn doctors offering compassionate words that left Sarah reeling. But in the sacred chapel, the flickering flame of hope wouldn't extinguish. Then, a week later, when all seemed lost, the miraculous happened. Jacob's health stabilized in an extraordinary twist that baffled the doctors. It was as if the very hands of heaven had paused, guiding the path toward life and healing. Before she could even process the whirlwind of emotions, whispers filled the village like warm breezes. Everyone rallied around Sarah and her son, their lives intertwined to form a tapestry of collective hope. That Sunday, her voice would rise in the chapel, trembling yet full of conviction, recounting how the silent cries of a grieving mother were met with grace. As she shared her testimony, parishioners' eyes glistened with tears, their hearts stirring with shared spirit and community. Perhaps, she paused, her breath caught, the healing is just the beginning. What more is written in the chapters of our lives? The air thickened with anticipation, and a resounding silence fell over the congregation. Was this mere coincidence, or was there something profoundly divine weaving through all their lives? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. A flickering candle, Sarah's heart ignited with newfound strength, even as questions danced like shadows in her mind. Was Jacob's recovery a gift, or were they all being prepared for a greater revelation ahead? Faces turned toward her, hope entwining with uncertainty, echoing her inner question. The gentle sound of her heart pulsed with a divine rhythm, drawing them ever deeper into the mystery. What miracles awaited them on the path yet to come? As the days melted into weeks, a transformation swept through the village, weaving a tapestry of faith, resilience, and community. Sarah, buoyed by the miraculous recovery of Jacob, began to feel the weight of her earlier despair lift. She found herself speaking more openly about her experience, her voice becoming an ember that kindled others' hope. Each Sunday, as she returned to the chapel, she felt a unique connection with those around her, a bond stitched together by shared prayers and whispered dreams. It became an unspoken promise among them, they were not alone. The congregation manifested an intense urgency to hold on to the very hope that had carried Sarah and Jacob through their darkest hours. One morning, Sarah noticed a stranger seated in the pews, a woman with kind eyes and a knowing smile that appeared almost ethereal beneath the chapel's stained glass. She found herself drawn to the woman, as if some invisible thread was pulling them together. After the service, the woman approached Sarah with warmth. "I heard your testimony. Truly, your faith has touched many. What is your name? Sarah asked, as curiosity nibbled at her heart. I am Clara, the woman replied softly. I believe we are all players in a great tapestry of God's design. Your story is part of something even bigger. Her words bounced around in Sarah's mind. What could this bigger design be? It ignited something within her, flickering like the candles that lit the chapel. Just as she was digesting Clara's profound statement, Jacob rushed into her arms, tugging at her dress with his innocent glee. Mommy! Look! Look at what I made! He held up a crumpled piece of paper, adorned with vibrant colors. It was a drawing of the chapel, but with angels hovering above it. It's us, and the angels are watching over, Jacob beamed, entirely unaware of the deeper meaning resting within the strokes of his crayon. For a moment, Sarah's heart expanded with joy mixed with an inexplicable awe. The child's belief rang truer than any testament, a pure depiction of hope. Could it really be that heaven was intertwining their fates in ways they had not yet understood? Weeks flowed like a gentle stream, and Sarah found herself reflecting on the mysteries hidden within Clara's words. Every prayer she offered, every moment of doubt faced, seemed to weave into the fabric of her life, each thread glistening with promises yet to be fulfilled. However, amidst the joyful gatherings and celebrations of Jacob's recovery, a rustle of uncertainty swept through the village. News arrived that another child, a bright light just like Jacob, had fallen gravely ill. Whispers of despair grew louder as uncertainty gripped the hearts of many. Sarah felt torn, standing at the intersection of hope and despair. Would they witness another miracle, or was this a sign of something darker? As she knelt in prayer, the chapel around her filled with warmth, but the heaviness of the situation reminded her that divine plans often unfolded in ways she could not yet comprehend. Her prayers blossomed into pleading, asking for guidance not only for Jacob but for every soul in need. That in her heart, a voice whispered, urging her to rise up and shine even brighter. But the question lingered: could faith be enough to illuminate the darkness that seemed to creep in once more? As she pondered this, dread laced with hope battled within her. Could she be the beacon of light for others as she had been for herself? Was she truly ready for the next chapter of divine purpose? The uncertainty quivered in the air, echoing a resounding hush that enveloped her soul, and so, the unseen hands of destiny drew nearer, nudging Sarah towards a decision that would test her faith in unimaginable ways. Much lay at stake, waiting just beyond the horizon. What awaited them in the unfolding tapestry of God's plan? The sun rose bright and clear the next morning, cascading its golden light through the windows of the chapel. Sarah stood before the altar, her heart heavy yet curious. The quiet of the sanctuary felt sacred, like a moment paused between breaths. With each flickering candle, she sensed a divine presence wrapping around her, a reminder of the faith that had ignited her soul. As the congregation gathered that day, she couldn't help but notice their faces, etched with concern yet lit with a flicker of hope. They were all there, not just to pray for the ill child, but to lift one another through the storm that threatened to overshadow their hearts. The words of Clara echoed in Sarah's mind, urging her to look beyond what she could see. Let us come together in prayer, the pastor called, his voice steady and encouraging. Sarah took a deep breath, the smell of polished wood and candle wax surrounding her like an embrace. Kneeling in solidarity with her community, she felt their hearts beat as one, a rhythm of faith that pulsed through the room. Her own prayers reverberated within her, transforming into a fervent plea for strength and compassion. There is so much at stake, she whispered, almost as if afraid to speak the thought aloud. Then, she felt a nudge, a soft push from within. Look around, it urged. And when she did, she noticed her friends and neighbors clasping hands, heads bowed in solemn devotion. Jake, the baker, and Mary, the schoolteacher, were both crying softly, yet their grips on each other's hands were tight and reassuring. In that moment, Sarah felt a stirring within her, like a lighthouse beam piercing through fog. Each prayer was not just a whisper in the wind, it was a force, a collective longing for hope, a hope that could indeed cast out fear. After the prayer concluded, Sarah approached Clara, who had sat quietly, eyes gleaming as though she bore secrets of the universe. What should we do next? Sarah asked hesitantly, feeling a wave of responsibility wash over her. Clara smiled, her presence almost ethereal. Sometimes, simply being there for each other is enough. But deeper guidance often comes when we least expect it. Just then, a child's laughter broke through the tension like a sunbeam cutting through clouds. It was Jacob, his spirit untainted by the worries that seemed to grip the adults. He rushed over, grabbing Sarah's hand. "Mommy! Can we go play outside?" His innocent joy was contagious, and despite the heavy atmosphere, laughter trickled through the congregation. As Sarah looked around, she noticed people smiling despite their fears. Joy had a unique way of sneaking in, even through the cracks of sorrow. It dawned on her maybe they were called to be that joy, a balm for each other's wounds. Even in uncertainty, hope could bubble to the surface like the sweetest spring. Suddenly, Sarah felt the pull of purpose, the nudging that Clara spoke of. "What if we organized a gathering?" she suggested boldly. "A celebration of faith, a chance to share our stories and uplift each other." A murmur of agreement rolled through the chapel, lifting the spirits of weary souls. They began planning, laughter mingling with tears, ideas weaving together like threads in a vast tapestry. As they shared in this hopeful mission, Sarah felt lighter, as if a burden was being lifted. Clara blessed her with a soft, knowing smile, reinforcing that this transformative leap was part of the beautiful design they spoke of, but deep down, Sarah felt the weight of something greater nearing. Was this gathering merely an act of kindness? Or was a divine revelation waiting to unfold? Just beyond their sight, the gathering was set for the coming Friday, but nestled in the back of Sarah's heart was a question that churned. What would they discover about their faith in each other on that day? Little did they know, the flickering hope in their hearts was a mere spark igniting the divine fire just waiting to erupt. What wondrous transformation awaited them on the horizon of that fateful gathering. The days moved swiftly toward Friday, each moment draped in both anticipation and uncertainty. Sarah found herself awake, spirit racing with excitement and trepidation. The gathering they planned held the weight of their collective hopes. It was more than a simple event, it was a sacred juncture, a divine appointment that echoed in her very core. As the sun edged lower in the sky that afternoon, the chapel began to transform. Colorful decorations hung from the beams, crafted by hands that once clutched onto fear and now eagerly embraced joy. Laughter floated through the air, intertwining with the sweet notes of a gentle piano played by a local musician. Sarah busied herself, arranging chairs in a circle, creating a space for sharing and connection. The warmth of community filled the room. People arrived, bringing their stories and smiles, faith interwoven in their very being. Clara stepped in, her presence radiating light, and Sarah's heart quickened at the sight of her. "Are you ready?" Clara asked, her eyes sparkling with a knowing that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. With a nod, Sarah breathed deeply, surrendering her worries to the air around her. The gathering began, and they opened with prayer, hearts blending as one voice arose to seek divine guidance and strength. Each word was a lit candle, illuminating corners of doubt and fear, casting shadows aside. As they shared stories, laughter erupted like bubbles, climbing high into the heavens. They discussed their struggles, their triumphs, the raw and the beautiful. Mary spoke of her son's bravery in the face of sickness, while Jake shared about his late-night baking, often guided by quiet prayers. With each tale told, layers of worry peeled away to reveal the resilience beneath, and then someone started singing a gentle hymn that enveloped them like a warm quilt. Voices rose and fell, wrapped inside the echo of the chapel. In that moment, joy blossomed and swirled around them. Clara's eyes gleamed brightly, reflecting a truth unfolding within them, but as the night progressed and the sun disappeared beyond the horizon, Sarah felt a shift in the atmosphere. It was subtle at first, an electric hum, undercurrents of love and hope. Then came a stillness, a sacred pause as Clara stood, arms raised in surrender. "Friends, can you feel it? Something is coming." Her voice resonated, reverberating through each soul present. A wave of expectancy surged through Sarah. Her heart raced. What was this divine presence stirring in the room? Clara's words ignited an urgency within her to seek something deeper. The crowd hushed, anticipation thick in the air. A soft yet profound whisper mingled with the lingering notes of the hymn, a promise that held the power to reshape their lives. It was as if heaven opened just a crack, inviting them closer. "Let us listen for the truth God wishes to reveal tonight," Clara continued, her voice filled with reverence. "For in our unity, there lies a message. A revelation awaits us." Nerves danced in Sarah's stomach. Was this truly her moment of clarity? Or just a fleeting echo in the silence that wrapped around them? Tonight felt electric, alive with uncertainty. As each person closed their eyes, their devotion emerged in stillness, an openness poised to receive the divine, but then, her heart whispered another question mingling with hope. What truths were hidden beneath the surface? What were they truly meant to discover in this sacred gathering of souls? As Sarah opened her heart to the unfolding mystery, the atmosphere shimmered with impending revelation, urging her to trust, lean into the unknown. What divine message was poised to be unveiled? What transformation awaited in the spaces where faith met uncertainty? The nearing dawn of understanding hung just before them, ready to rise and shift everything they thought they knew. The stillness wrapped around them like a warm embrace, a blanket of reverent anticipation. The entire chapel seemed to draw closer, as if time itself paused to listen. Sarah felt every heartbeat reverberate through her, echoing the unspoken hopes of those around her. In that sacred space, the barriers of doubt and fear began to dissolve, revealing the essence of trust. Clara lowered her arms, but her eyes remained lifted, locked onto a point far beyond the chapel walls. "Can you sense it?" she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper yet filled with undeniable conviction. "God is at work among us, and His presence is a flame igniting our hearts." Around the circle, Sarah noticed the subtle transformations taking place. Glances exchanged between friends held an undeniable weight, prayers now carried on breaths that quickened with excitement. A slight sway, a closing of eyes, scattered fingers clasped in anticipation created a tapestry of faith woven tightly together. Then, rising as if on cue, a voice from the back called out, "Lord, we are here for you. Show us the path." The simple yet fervent plea sent a fresh wave of energy coursing through the room. This was no longer just a gathering, it was a sacred encounter, a communion with the divine. As voices rose in united prayer, Sarah felt a warm rush envelop her, igniting every fiber of her being. Her faith, once a flicker of light, now burned with clarity. Tonight, she thought, we are chosen for something magnificent. In the center of the circle, Clara opened her eyes. They sparkled with divine inspiration. God wants us to know that His love is relentless, Clara proclaimed, her voice rising to fill the corners of the room. He sees each of you not as you fear to be, but as you were created to be. He whispers your name and calls you beloved. An audible gasp swept through the assembly, a collective breath, as if struck by a divine breeze. Hope pierced through uncertainty like dawn breaking overnight. Sarah struggled to hold back tears as Clara continued, "This revelation is like a river constant, flowing, reshaping the very landscape of our lives. The burdens we carry, our doubts and fears are swept away in His love. Let down your walls." A wave of emotion washed over Sarah, resting heavily in her chest. Could they really be that deeply loved, selected for something far beyond their understanding? Suddenly, the burdens she had clung to felt impossibly light. In that moment, Sarah startled as a warm brightness filled her vision, a heavenly luminescence illuminating the chapel with an otherworldly glow. Gasps filled the air, breaths were held in reverence, and the hymns shifted subtly, becoming a chorus of praise. What is happening? She thought, her heart racing. Just as a comforting presence surrounded her, she heard Clara speak again, "He is revealing plans to you tonight, visions, dreams. Don't resist this moment of divine revelation. Embrace the truth that He is, and always has been, guiding you." The room buzzed, hushed whispers fluttering like autumn leaves caught in a gentle breeze. Sarah felt the pull of God's promise, a path outlined, a future unraveling as brightly as the dawn. As faith collided with whispering expectations, Sarah's heart soared with a question: what does it mean to be chosen? What does our next step look like under this new light of direction? The air crackled with potential as Sarah steeled herself for the answers that awaited, while the gathering itself buzzed with a shared, uncontainable curiosity. What divine plans were waiting just beneath the surface, ready to burst forth into their lives? The atmosphere thickened with expectancy, the very heartbeat of the community thrumming in unison as Sarah pondered what revelatory truths would unveil themselves next. As the vibrant energy swirled around them, Clara's voice broke through the soft murmurs like a shaft of sunlight piercing the morning mist. Stay open, my friends. God is shaping something incredible tonight. Let us be like clay in his hands molded and remade. Sarah felt the weight of those words sink deep into her soul. Clay, it was such a simple concept, yet rich with meaning. In the hands of the master, it could be transformed into something beautiful, something useful. Perhaps their past struggles were not just burdens to bear but the very shaping tools that would help define their futures. The air seemed to shimmer and breathe as if resonating with the heart's longing for renewal. All eyes turned towards Clara, their shared hope forming a unifying thread amongst them. With every breath, Sarah could almost hear the whispers of encouragement weaving through the crowd. You are loved. You are chosen. Suddenly, Clara raised her hands once more, her expression shifting to one of earnestness. Tonight, we must listen closely. The Lord is revealing not just dreams, but commands. He asks us, what will we do with this beloved status? Will we step forward, or will we retreat? The question hung heavily, lingering in the sacred space as the attendees reflected in the silence. The flickering candlelight danced softly, casting shadows bearing witness to their thoughts. Sarah's mind raced, grappling with the dual promise of being chosen and the call to action that came with it. Is it truly so simple? She wondered. To follow where he leads, to trust at each turn, even when the path isn't clear. Around her, voices of encouragement began to blossom. Someone whispered, faith feels like stepping into the unknown, but I know he will catch me. Sarah felt a surge of boldness wash over her. Perhaps they were not all to seek a grand mission at once but to take small, faithful steps, trusting the details would unfurl in time. The flickers of doubt began to dim, overshadowed by the warmth of divine possibility. A soft glow illuminated Clara's face, making her appear even more ethereal. The work of God is not confined to grand gestures. It is in each small act of love, each moment of kindness, each prayer sent heavenward. We each have a vital role to play in this divine tapestry. At that moment, a gentle hush fell upon the assembly. Eyes closed, hearts opened wide, they began to pray not just for direction but for courage, the kind that ignites movements. Murmurs of "Guide us, Lord," floated around them, rising like incense, filling the room with a fragrant offering. As Sarah engaged in the collective devotion, she became more aware of the silence deeper than words. In that quiet space, she found a stirring and alignment of purpose that felt electric. Every fiber of her heart resonated with the thought, we are being called not only to receive but to act. What lies ahead is not just about hope, but about stepping out into what we proclaim. Within the collective energy, an overwhelming sense of possibility emerged. Sarah's hands instinctively clasped together, and she whispered, "Whisper to us, Lord. Speak into this moment." The voices in the congregation lifted in harmony, weaving prayers like threads into a tapestry. Her spirit soared with the knowledge that God was there, weaving something beautiful through each of them, encouraging them to unite their hopes and dreams for his purpose. In that sacred embrace, Sarah felt a swell of anticipation for the plans that were about to unfold. What divine assignments awaited them? What treasures rested in the hidden corners of their hearts yet to be discovered? The chapel buzzed with the energy of their shared faithfulness, and Sarah held on to the promise that revelation would surely follow. As they held hands, united in purpose and prayer, she felt that a celestial adventure was on the brink of unfolding. What awaited on the horizon was yet undisclosed, but the thrill of chosen expectancy filled the air. Sarah realized that with every answer that might come, there would undoubtedly be questions that would follow. What challenges would they face, and how might they grow in the process? Would they truly be ready to step into what lay ahead? There was a divine mystery just around the corner, waiting to be revealed. As silence enveloped them, it hung thick with promise. The flickering candlelight cast dancing shadows on the walls, becoming nothing less than a divine serenade to the hearts gathered within that hallowed space. Sarah felt the warmth of her spirit stretching outwards, connecting with those around her, intertwining their hopes like a vine climbing towards the sun. Clara stood like a beacon, her face aglow with a light that seemed almost otherworldly. "We are on the cusp of something magnificent," she declared, eyes piercing into each soul. "God is moving among us. Can you feel it? The sacred winds of change are blowing." A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. Sarah's heart thudded in its chest. The thought gnawed at her, if they were indeed being called, then how would they respond? A stumbling in her spirit reminded her of the challenges ahead. But what God had not yet revealed, she pondered, is how certainty often hides behind the veil of doubt. Just then, Clara invited them to open their hearts wider. "Let us seek clarity through prayer. Ask Him what He desires of you. What gifts have you tucked away, what seeds have you buried deep within?" The challenge in her voice stirred a resolve among the congregation. They settled into a comfortable stillness, eyes closed. Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the gentle caress of the Spirit surrounding her. "Show me, Lord," she breathed. "What is my purpose in this season of my life?" As waves of prayer washed through the assembly, Sarah felt a gentle revelation unfurling. Memories flooded her mind, moments of joy in serving, of hearts she had touched, of love she had given and received. Suddenly, she understood, the path may be obscure, but the call to action had always been there. Each act of kindness had built a bridge, leading her closer to the divine plan unfolding like petals of a flower. Around her, voices lifted in a chorus of yearning. "Reveal yourself, Lord. Guide us in our next steps." The atmosphere twinkled, alive with expectation. Clara moved among them, her essence setting off sparks in the hearts of many. When we open our hearts, God reveals not just our tasks but the very truth of who we are. A surge of energy coursed through the room, as though an unseen river flowed, carrying prayers upward. Sarah opened her eyes shining, and turned to her neighbor, Daniel. His expression mirrored her own, a mix of awe and determination. "What are you feeling?" she whispered. He smiled softly, eyes glistening. "I feel called to serve beyond my comfort zone. It's scary, but I'm ready." His words resonated deep within her, they were like keys unlocking understanding. If Daniel, with all his struggles, could embrace a bold call, why couldn't she? Resoluteness swelled in her chest. They were all being reshaped for something greater. Inspired, Clara returned to the center of the circle, eyes sparkling. "Friends, we must remember, God does not rewrite our past, He redeems it. He shows us that our scars become our stories, testimonies of His grace. When we move forward, we take our history with us, it becomes part of His beautiful design." With every utterance, Sarah felt chains loosening within her. Could she share her story? The way God had intervened in times she thought hope had faded? The answer was a quiet yet firm yes. A glow began to radiate from the assembly, warmth throbbing within their shared spirit. This revelation wasn't merely personal, it was collective. They were all intertwined in a celestial mission, meant to uplift, heal, and share. As Clara encouraged them to voice their callings, the air crackled with anticipation. Stories emerged one by one, paths laid bare, dreams ignited in the light of truth, hesitation replaced with purpose. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that God was orchestrating a symphony through them, a call to transform their lives, and in turn, the lives of those around them. They blended together like a melody, a hymn of devotion that was only beginning to rise. Yet Sarah's heart danced with a different question, a stirring, a secret hope. What awaited them when they stepped out of this sacred space? What trials and triumphs would transform them further in this unfolding journey? In the midst of their rising energy, a powerful thought crystallized, assurance was shrouded in mystery, and they were stepping into the unknown together. What awaited on the horizon was not just a destiny to fulfill, but an invitation to become vessels of divine change. The moment hung heavily, ripe with divine potential. Would they be willing to embrace the mystery ahead, or would fear seize them? Little did they know, the path was already illuminated in the hands of the Master, awaiting their first step forward. The air shimmered as hearts opened wider, each breath becoming an offering of faith. Sarah felt an unshakable sense that they were standing at the brink of something monumental. Clara's calls to declare their intentions ripened the atmosphere, making it heavy with divine potential. Each voice added to the rising tide of expectancy, mingling in a sacred dance of hope and promise. Let us unite, dear friends. Let us bring our voices together in praise. Clara urged, her eyes sparkling with conviction. The moment she lifted her hands, the congregation followed suit. Sarah felt her own hands reaching upwards, fingers lightly touching others in a shared embrace of unity. God of wonders, murmured a voice nearby, gentle yet powerful. You've chosen us, revealed your love to us. We are not alone. With this affirmation, a ripple of affirmation spread, nudging each soul to share their voice. Inspired by the warmth around her, Sarah summoned her courage. Lord, I trust in your plan for me, she proclaimed quietly, feeling the vibrations of her own words resonate in her chest. Suddenly, the lights dimmed softly. A hush settled over them, and in the stillness, the flickering flames seemed to pulse with a life of their own. Each candle became a beacon, a symbol of their individual yet collective light, a representation of their steadfast hope. Clara moved gracefully to the center. God knows every fear in your heart. He sees your hesitation. Know this: He calls the weak, the broken, the humble. Your past doesn't define you, it equips you for His purpose. Each sentence was a balm to Sarah's worried spirit, shattering the chains of insecurity that had held her captive. She could feel old wounds begin to heal, unveiling a heart once hidden beneath layers of doubt and inadequacy. I am chosen, she whispered to herself, letting the truth sink deeply within. In that moment, a profound silence enveloped them once more, pregnant with possibilities. Sarah could almost hear the murmurs of angels hovering close, beckoning them to trust and leap. What if sharing her story could ignite another's flame? Around her, she could see others visibly moved, their eyes glistening with revelation. Here am I, Lord. Echoed whispers of surrender, a spiritual symphony resonating through the room. Feeling an urge to speak, Sarah rose slowly, the warmth of shared vulnerability lifting her spirit. I want to share something, her voice trembled slightly. Clara nodded encouragingly, a gentle smile spreading across her face. My journey hasn't been easy. I've felt lost, uncertain of my value, she confessed. But in this moment, I realized that every pain was a brushstroke on the canvas of my faith. Each scar tells a story that will resonate with those seeking hope. As she spoke, the room held its breath, attuned to her truth. Encouraged, more souls began to step forward, sharing their truths, revealing how God was at work in the shadows of their lives. Each story became a flickering light, igniting others to step into their truths, their healing creating an expansive tapestry framed by love and divine purpose. The energy surged, a tangible force, encouraging Sarah to open her heart further. What if by sharing our gifts, she wondered aloud, we become instruments of healing for those in darkness? Yes. A murmur cascaded through the circle, empowering them, transcending their hesitance. They were transforming, becoming channelers of grace, their collective stories stitching together a stronger community. As they reveled in the beauty of shared vulnerability, Clara raised her hands again. Look around, friends. This is the beginning. You are called. You are chosen. And those who are chosen have an obligation to honor their gifts, to bless others. A quiet realization settled over Sarah: they weren't just a gathering, they were an army of love, ready to step into the world outside, armed with divine purpose and renewed spirits. The time had come. Were they ready to face what lay beyond their sacred walls? What adventures awaited, and how would they weave their stories into the wider tapestry of their community? With a deep breath, Clara began to lead them in prayer, sending forth a clarion call into the heavens. Each word resonated with strength and clarity, carrying their hopes into the Father's embrace. And as they concluded, adorning the moment with heartfelt amens, Sarah lingered on the cusp of revelation. What awaited them on the streets that were testimony to their anxieties and expectations? Would they meet fear or faith in full bloom? Only the next step would tell. As the final amen echoed through the dimly lit room, the air thickened with anticipation. Sarah felt as though they had crossed a threshold into uncharted territory. With her heart racing, she glanced around. Faces that had been strangers moments ago now held stories, struggles, and hopes shared through the sacred act of exposure. Clara stepped forward, the warmth of her spirit pulsing with empowerment. Let us not just sit here in this holy refuge. The world outside is waiting for the light we carry. Her voice was a vibrant call to action. Sarah could feel the electric energy buzzing in the air. It was as if a divine wind had swept through the room, stirring every soul present to rise and stretch out their arms towards the promise of tomorrow. Are we ready to have our hearts broken for those who are hurting? Are we ready to listen to others? To lift them up? Clara's words rang out like joyful bells. Each question nudged at something deep within Sarah, igniting a yearning to reach out beyond the comfortable walls of their gathering. Together, they formed a circle, hands joined tight, anchoring one another as they took their first steps into the unknown. It was uncomfortable yet beautiful. Fear rippled in the back of Sarah's mind, whispering doubt as they prepared to step out. But it was quickly drowned out by the enthralling sense of belonging that surged through her. Let us affirm one another. Let us lift each other higher, Clara said with conviction. They began to utter words of encouragement, a swell of blessings enveloping each individual like a warm embrace. With every phrase, hearts opened wider. I see you, brother. Someone shouted. Your story matters. I feel you, sister. You've walked valleys, but mountains await. Another affirmed. These declarations filled the room with love, sweetening the atmosphere. Sarah felt her worries unraveling. No longer was she alone in her uncertainties, they stood as a band of warriors, ready to face challenges together. As they broke the circle, a renewed determination shone in every eye. Stepping outside, Sarah was hit by the vibrant pulse of the city. The streets, so often mundane and filled with noise and chaos, now looked like a canvas awaiting the brushstrokes of their newly ignited faith. Look! Clara pointed towards a group gathered at the end of the street. Let us go. They approached, and Sarah noticed a young man sitting on the pavement, head bowed low, seemingly lost amongst the throng of passers-by. Beneath the swirl of bustling life, he wore a shroud of sorrow. Without thinking, Sarah stepped forward. Hey there, she said softly. The young man looked up and met her gaze, his eyes cloudy but curious. Can I share something with you? In that instant, the connection was forged. A bridge built purely by the essence of shared humanity and vulnerability. She began to recount her story, her struggles, her healing, and how faith had transformed her life. His eyes glistened, reflecting the flickering light of hope. You mean I'm not the only one? He murmured, as his voice cracked from the weight of his emotions. No, you're not alone, she whispered, her heart swelling with purpose. It was happening. Testimony was spilling forth, weaving strands of connection that could bring warmth to a cold heart. As more joined the conversation, the spark ignited within Sarah grew ever brighter. People gathered, drawn in by the truth of her words. Have you ever thought, she began, pausing to look into the faces surrounding her, that our stories could be the very thing that changes a life? We are all chosen. What if by sharing, we heal not just ourselves, but those who have yet to find their voice? Nods and murmurs of agreement filled the air. With each share, light flooded the darkness that had wrapped around the streets. Hope poured forth, weaving destiny in the laughter, the tears, and the vulnerability that surrounded them. And just like that, the adventure had begun. They were stepping into something bigger than themselves, something magnificent, echoing promises of transformation. Yet, as the conversation unfolded, Sarah glimpsed something, an ache within individuals that needed more than words. What would it take to truly heal hearts? How could they encourage one another to take bolder leaps forward, embracing their gifts fully? As the sun dipped low, casting a gold hue over the horizon, Sarah tucked away those questions in her heart, ready for the next divine revelation that awaited just around the corner. The evening wore on, and the glow of the setting sun painted the village in hues of amber and rose as the warmth of newfound connections pulsed in Sarah's chest. The small gathering by the street, which began with tentative steps into the unknown, had morphed into a vibrant community woven together by shared stories and authentic conversations. Each moment felt electric, charged with the benevolent promise of heavenly touch. As laughter and chatter filled the air around her, a ripple of joy surged within Sarah. She felt a celestial wind pushing her spirit forward, beckoning more action. Exchanging stories had ignited a flame of courage, but there lingered an irresistible urge deep within, a longing to become even more than the sum of their experiences. In her heart, she felt a gentle nudging, a divine whisper steering her gaze towards that which awaited close at hand. What if we take this further? She pondered. What if we truly turn this moment into a movement? It was time to act beyond words, time to lift each other higher in meaningful ways. Listen, everyone, Sarah's voice rang out above the din, her own pulse thrumming loudly in her ears. She captured the attention of those gathered, each pair of eyes bright with expectation. What we've shared tonight is just the start. Each story connects us, but we must now go beyond sharing. Let us create a bridge from what we feel to what we can do. People began nodding in agreement, excitement visible on their faces. Clara, standing among them with an ethereal glow, met Sarah's gaze and sent her an encouraging smile that felt like an affirmation from heaven. What if we organize a day of service? Daniel piped up, energized by the suggestion. Imagine coming together to help those who are hurting in our community. We can show them the love we've discovered. It'll be an expression of our faith. Yes. Came a chorus of relatable enthusiasm. The group buzzed with deliberation. Ideas sparked like fireflies on a summer night, illuminating their mission as visions began to unfold before them. They discussed aiding the sick, preparing meals for struggling families, and even cleaning up local parks. A shared purpose filled the air like a sweet fragrance, resonating with hope and healing. As they planned, Sarah felt her heart dance. She was no longer merely a mother concerned for her child, she was a messenger of divine love. She felt her past scars transform, crafting her into a vessel for compassion. Their next steps rippled outward like waves on a tranquil lake. In this service, Clara interjected softly, projecting confidence, will not only uplift our community, but will also deepen our purpose in the eyes of God. Let us extend our collective faith beyond this moment, so that the light of His love may shine brightly through our actions. Clarity washed over Sarah. This wasn't just about them, it was about transforming their surroundings. It was about stepping from the shadows of doubt into the brightness of actionable love. As twilight descended, they wrapped up their planning, ready to make a tangible impact in their community. They dove into discussions, intertwined hopes flowing effortlessly as they crafted their mission, a tapestry not only to serve but to embody the very love they had received. The next day dawned, vibrant and hopeful. The sun rose in brilliant hues, promising a perfect day for service. Sarah, with Jacob by her side, felt gratitude fill her heart as she loaded supplies into her car. A list of tasks and laughter patterned like jewels around her. As they gathered for their first destination, the congregation brimming with excitement, emotions began to swell. We are not just changing lives, Sarah proclaimed, allowing her voice to be a beacon. We are being changed in the process. Let every door we knock on echo our love. Let every hand we hold carry hope. And so they moved, a flock of love spreading light through the village. House by house, they brought food, comfort, and companionship to families in need. They found themselves praying with individuals who were lost, sharing their laughter, and unveiling the stories tied to the hardships each faced. The Spirit weaved itself tight within their collective hearts, strengthening the bond as they worked in harmony. With every act of service, the community emerged from the shadows. People witnessed the power of love manifested through small yet meaningful gestures: a well-prepared meal, a shared smile, a comforting word, days turned into weeks, and the transformation was evident. Sarah saw the burdens lift from her neighbors, and as pain began to fade into hope, every heart gathered grew ever lighter. The chapel buzzed with excitement as stories of miracles spun from the very souls they had touched. On one glorious Sunday morning, the congregation gathered once again, a renewed energy palpable in the air. They rejoiced not only in the healing of Jacob's heart but also in the restoration of their community. "I feel it. God is working," Sarah cried out, tears of joy streaming down her face as she shared all they had accomplished. "Each hand we've offered has become a testimony of His goodness. We are truly chosen to manifest love." The words flowed freely as stories of lives changed, comfort given, and hope ignited colored their praise. The chapel transcended its physical boundaries. Their mission became a bright testament to the love of Christ. As prayers erupted into praise, it was clear that they had become more than just a community, they had risen to become a movement driven by divine purpose. In that moment, Sarah understood fully being chosen was never about a singular moment of revelation but an ongoing journey of unfolding divine love, eternally layered in acts of kindness and compassion. It was about each heart and hand uniting to shine light upon the world, illuminating the path of others in the darkness. Let us continue to let our light shine, my friends. Our journey has just begun. Clara declared, as the applause rolled and laughter filled the sacred space. May our transformation inspire countless more. Sarah echoed, feeling the warmth envelop her heart, knowing the sacred tapestry was still unraveling. Faith thrummed vibrantly through them, each soul intertwined on a mission heaven bent to spread the message of hope. In that sanctuary filled with voices lifted in unity, they recognized that they were indeed chosen not merely for miracles, but as vessels through which divine love could radiate into the world. This was their timeless resolution, a continued journey to manifest heaven on earth, as guides through the masterpiece of their intertwining faith. Dear friends, may you know you are chosen. Go forth and let your light shine. And before you leave, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you do not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this ending. And you must share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. True servants of God know how vital these actions are in spreading His love. Don't wait even one more second.